Photography is often called the universal hobby. It is a means of creative expression within the reach of people in all walks of life, and it speaks a language that everyone can understand. The camera lens is a mechanical eye, seeing everything and recording everything. It captures actions that will never again be repeated. The cameraman must be a practical psychologist who understands the personality of each individual he photographs. People want to look their best. In fact, better than they look.
Photos do have a very powerful sense in historical value or modern day values of moving forward, progression as a society, I think. It shows the truth. A photographer is truth telling. I'm Scott Ransley. I go alias Battlecat, and that stuck around for quite a while, probably about 15 years, that people from Sydney and Melbourne have called me Battlecat, so I sort of run with it. And I like to be an artist, so be in music or photography. I just like being creative, and it's they're therapeutical for me. So I just what come up on your radar is my street photography, and I shoot mostly on film. People like the big inspirations for like Radiohead in my music bands that I used to play in, but with photography I don't really follow anyone. There is a couple of favourites, photos that I love and go back and have a look at every now and then. I don't know how to pronounce the name because they're European names. For me, it's the grain structure within the film. So that's what really got me into street photography, is just how the light hits the film stock and that chemical reaction, the process, very tangible. But mostly just the flow of the grain structure. I really love how when you get it after you debbed it and scanned it. It's mainly what I like. But it really took off during COVID because we were stuck inside. We only had 2 hours of exercise or whatever, and I utilised all my time just walking around the city because I was living in Fitzroy, and so Fitzroy, Collingwood, just utilising my time, taking a whole bunch of photos, getting my skill set better because, you had the 1.5 metre rule, so like you couldn't really get too close to people. People were very wary of you, you had to wear masks and you couldn't really be next to everybody. So I got a lot of skill sets from just walking for like 2 years straight around Melbourne during COVID, and I think that's where what you're seeing at the moment and what a lot of people are saying is all the skill sets that I've accumulated over that time. The only real goal that I have in mind that I keep telling people is that it's not, most of my photos or images don't get sold, it's accumulated into hard drives, and eventually I'll put them through enlargers and maybe do a show. But for me, I just generally would like to put it in a book and then give it to the Victorian State Library and have them accept it. I'll be pretty happy with that if that happens. I'm trying to get something that's has historical value, or something one-off that nobody else had in Melbourne, or very much every era, every decade. There's certain things that come up politically, especially. Fashion changes a lot as well. Fashion always reverts back to the past in some form, and then it progresses. So, especially in those two things, politically speaking, movements of anti-war, anti-propaganda, fashion, progression, especially in street photography. Especially in photography, I think those two would be like
See, this is the
definitely
go. You see,
paramount
the
up top.
Desire of Ages. It's the Desire of Ages. It's a good book. It's a good read. But don't believe everything you read because not, and don't believe what anyone says because you'd be a right gullible cunt if you did that. And basically, don't believe everything you read too because some of it could be shit. Be yourself and true to yourself is the only way to fly. If you do the right, if you play your cards right, you really will be flying out of here.
You know, historically, looking it back on a photo in the future, it can show how people were living, and you can either learn from it or the history repeats itself. If you think of like one big one, like always go to that Vietnam photo of that kid running down the highway, that pretty much stopped the whole war, that one individual photo, so very powerful. I don't think that locally photos would change local matters as much as that one particular moment, but photos do have a very powerful sense in historical value or modern day values of moving forward, a progression as a society. I think it shows the truth. A photographer is truth telling. It's showing, unless you have you put like a different spin on the photos. That happens sometimes. As long as the narrative is truth telling as well. Photographers are just telling what they see, what's happening right in the moment. So if I know that like you don't want to get too close to a vulnerable situation, but if there's a story behind it that you want to show, then you need to try and capture that so you can. You're showing other people what's really happening in the world, and I think it's a good thing to understand like how we see ourselves as a human being in a society. There's a lot of talk about capturing the moment or capturing the frame. I'm more capturing the moment than a framer. So for me, it's just all about the moment. So my photography has to have a human element to it. So I'm always about like hands and movement and facial recognition and emotions and all that sort of stuff. Like it taps into my disability because I'm hearing impaired. I can't hear much, so I'm very visual. I'm very like always looking. It's more for my safety when I was a kid. You know, like you have to be visual to protect yourself, or else you're going to be hit by a bus or a car or something like that. So it comes through that. Because I don't have that sense that really protects me, I'm very visual. So for me, that human response of body language, flow, you know, dancing, laughter, romantic gestures, kisses, that sort of thing, that's what I try and get, that real humanistic expressionism to come across in the frame. So I really strive to like try and frame that up properly, laughter, sadness, angry, vulnerability, to pull that across into the frame and to tell a story. So I used to be in bands. I played like Triple J sort of esque bands, and we always did East Coast tours. I'm from Sydney, so we used to do the East Coast tour. Consist of Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne. We did a thing that if we meet someone brand new on the tour, we had to introduce ourselves under these alias names. So mine was Battlecat Phoenix. There was like 5 of us in the band, and if we introduced someone without saying their alias, there'd be consequences like pack the car up or get a punch or shout everyone a beer or something like that. Came back to Sydney for some reason, and Battlecat stuck like mud. I was given Battlecat from my guitarist, Dean. He reckons I look like an 80s wrestler.
His way to the ring area, weighing 225 pounds, Battlecat.
We are going to find out very soon if this cat has 9 lives.
So kind of whatever you see here is what you get. But it's called a Battlecat. So, and yeah, it just stuck like mud. It just like everybody just calls me in Sydney. Someone yells it on the street or something like that. I turn my head because they instantly know that's my name as well.
I chose colour today because I wanted to do something different. It was going to be a nice day, but it was overcast for most of it. We shot 3 rolls.